Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this brilliant broadcast that's getting brought to you by a new. My name is Will Hall, better known on the internet as the Will Hall EXP, and I'm joined by the one and only Skura, better known as Islands in Front. And we are going to be bringing you round, I believe it's round 10. We're going to be bringing to everyone, no, round nine to everybody, where we're going to have one undefeated deck, and then one that did manage to pick up a loss yesterday, where we're going to have. Let's get their names. Luna Eason, who is on blue-white control at 7 wins and 1 draw against Gary Leak on Grixis Death Shadow. Skura, tell me about this matchup. Who's going to be favored game one?
Yeah, I'm really curious whether that draw was intentional or not, because as we know, blue-white control really likes, unintentionally drawing sometimes. But in this matchup, I really want to be blue-white control, honestly, because you've got so much great removal. All of those leyline binding, supreme verdict. But it seems like it's actually Obosh red.
I was about to say, this does not look like Grixis to me. This looks like a Bosch red. So we'll go with it with this one. So I would say in this matchup, one's going to be a lot quicker than the other. How do you reckon it's going to pan? What are the key cards that Luna's going to have to find here to be able to slow down this absolute aggression, which is going to happen as we see Ragavan come across here and probably connect?
Yeah, just basically any early interaction, something like prismatic ending, leyline binding if it can be turned on fast. And depending what they play, because they could be playing Oust, I don't know, Condemn, Path to Exile, any of the old tools.
How important do you think something like a like Leyline's Bind, how much do we have to stop this monkey from connecting? Is it vital, or are we just going to take? It's only 2 points of damage. Yeah, they're going to hit a couple of things off the top of the deck. We'll deal with it.
Right. So honestly, this is the scariest part: the fact that Ragavan can ramp up to Fable. So the Fable is the problem now, not the Ragavan. But you still have to stop Ragavan. So it's kind of this snowballing nature of Ragavan,
And we did see there off the top a Chalice of the Void get drawn for the turn. Are we going to slam that on one counter here? Is that going to be able to shut down this deck? Bear in mind, a Bosch, we know everything in their deck is going to be odd numbers.
Right, so the issue is that this Chalice on 1 does not stop the Ragavan that's on the field, does not stop the Shaman token, and does not stop Fable. It's already on the battlefield as well. So, yeah, Luna quite behind this game.
Got you. So, but I guess being blue-white control, we're going to have some sort of sweepers. We can see one there brought to the front of the hand. Are we just basically trying to survive till then so we can resolve one of these sweepers? Or we've got a charm in hand. What do you think about stealing the Ragavan for ourselves?
So you could steal Ragavan, and you might have to even, because while you really want to get that value from Supreme Verdict, you need to ensure that you don't die in the process. So sometimes you have to spend 1 card to get rid of an attacker to then still wipe it away to save that maybe 2 or 4 damage. Now in this particular case, I'm not sure you will be stealing anything, but the best thing for Dalton here would be if they could establish a non-creature threat, something like Blood Moon, something like a Planeswalker, which they do not seem to have right now.
Now, look at these awesome hand cams that we've got here. Looks like we've got 2 Bone Crushers, 1 Fury, and a backup Ragavan. If somehow it does manage to get taken care of, but we have 5 mana now going into our turn 3. Are we just going to... Yeah, we're just going to cast both modes here on the Bone Crusher to the face, and we're going to play it as a 4/3. Obviously, it gets round the Chalice on 1. Now, this is quite a lot of damage coming across, quite a systematic battlefield. We're 2 turns away from a Supreme Verdict. What sort of cards do we need to start throwing down here?
Yeah, so the thing is that I think if Dalton was, if it was turn 4 already, I don't think they would have played that many creatures because it could get Supreme Verdicted. Now, it cannot. And I do not think that Dalton will be committing any more creatures right now. They'll just keep bashing in, making Luna have to Verdict. And once she does, then Dalton will replay everything else that he has. So I think now Luna is in a real squeeze. She will get hit for how much? 2, 2, 4. Oh my god, that's 8 already, down to 3.
8, plus we know there's a Bone Crusher in hand for another 2 points.
So yeah, so
we're going to move to combat.
She might have to charm Ragavan to then just chomp Bone Crusher or something like that.
We're going to get a token instead here by the looks of it.
I don't think it matters because the intention is to block anyway, so...
Basically, we've got to survive to our turn 4. Hope there's not too much to come down after this. What I do like is, are we blocking the Ragavan here? So potentially, if we have 2 maybe endings or solitudes, we can just clean up the battlefield, or we literally playing towards a Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, literally Verdict.
Stop the Bone Crusher.
Honestly, I would have taken Ragavan because now when Bone Crusher kills the blocker, the Ragavan is alive and connects, while otherwise it wouldn't have.
And we see that
So I
play out
think
as
I would
6
have
comes
taken
across.
Ragavan. Okay, another land, yep.
Beautiful land to add to that. Original old fetch land. Also signed. Love to see it. So how else are
Right,
we
and
going to follow this up?
now there has to be Supreme Verdict. So I think what Dalton could do is just, if they have that, they could have another Bone Crusher 2 to you. But other than that, just no rush, no rush. Just see the verdict and then continue from there.
Well, we used the one Bone Crusher to get rid of the token.
I'm not sure
right?
how many were in hand.
I think there was only 2, unless they drew one for last turn, but we'll see. I'm just waiting on the life totals to get updated there, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be down to 5. There we go. So Ragavan we know can get dash. That's 2. So Ragavan can't. In fact, it can't. We've got a Chalice on the battlefield. We can't do that. Can't dash the Ragavan. We can't use lightning bolts.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Woof.
Ditching double monkey there. We're going to draw 2, make 2 1/1s, and almost threaten another Supreme Bird to have to come down here.
Literally, yeah.
How many do they generally play in these decks?
Come again?
How many verdicts are normally in like the blue white?
How many? It really depends. It's sometimes some people play full 4 because they can always ditch it to Solitude. Some people play 1 or 2 for good measure. So, but I would guess something like 2-ish in the main deck.
Okay. So we're going to play another land here for the turn. And it looks like we just got Fury, and I didn't quite make out what the last one is. Okay, we've got double ending, double Leyland's Binding, and a Shark Typhoon in that hand here. How can we use these cards to get rid of this battlefield? Have we got?
Right,
we're
so
paying two for Leyland's Bindings here, right? So we could do double bindings, I suppose.
Right, but to be honest, like binding in a token feels awful. Now you can't even prismatic ending for 1 because you've got your own Chalice. Because you could go technically ending the token, binding the Pyro, which is a 3-for-1, or probably even worse. But you still can't do it because of the Chalice.
Yeah, not exactly ideal here. Oh, yeah, chat pegs out. Actually, it costs 3 for binding because we do have 2. The is it Mystic Sanctuary, the blue white one that's the filter land?
Mystic Gate.
As a steam vent comes off the top. We don't really want to be paying 2 life here, but it looks like we're going to be forced to. So we now have got a blocker, and we've got a binding. Is that that's the extra card to make binding cost 2 now.
Yeah, because of the steam vents, right? And she couldn't have done it any other way because she had to shock in, which is, well, let's just say suboptimal. And then if just a single creature connects, then ramming up ruins finishes her off.
Yeah, we're going to see that. Did you like we showed the Ramnet off the bat just to say that got it, but she's going to make him do it. I like that. And as we people might have picked up on, she is a big Hearthstone grinder. She is a grandmaster and apparently a 3-time worlds competitor. And having that do a diamond, I'm going to make you kill me. I'm not just going to concede. No, you have to physically attack me, play around everything. I could have solitudes in hand, etc. And I like that.
But I don't think.
Gone.
On the flip side, I don't think I would expect Dalton to miss that. He's 8-0 right now, literally undefeated.
So, okay, we're going to get a good look at their hands here, like what's in the sideboard. So it looks like we've got Chalices, Moonlights, Stonies, Dress Downs, Spreading Seas. I think quite a good look at that alternate one at the end.
There was like Blossoming Calm.
Oh,
right. So basically, this creature is like a bigger version of red. So it's just like down to the ground, like so Skullmage, Swift Spear. It seems like a bit bigger. So it will affect the way you sideboard because you don't really want Blossoming Calm, which is great against Burn, because here it doesn't do anything against Seasoned Pyromancer or Fable, or potentially Blood Moon, which I would expect. Now, interestingly, Blood Moon works profitably against Leyland Binding because the lands immediately become mountains and they lose the types. So you can't do the trick of maybe float mana, play Binding after the Blood Moon resolves, because that literally doesn't work.
Looks like she doesn't like the Dress Downs here.
Yeah, Dress Down works against Seasoned Pyromancer in response to it. But to be fair, we haven't seen that much of the deck. We saw literally like Bone Crusher, Ragavan, Pyro, and Fable. So there could be so much more coming from Dalton.
We did see a Fury in hand, but this isn't really the matchup for Fury. It could probably tidy up something like a Teferi 3 or something. But this isn't like a small creature deck. So maybe on the other side, we'll be cutting a few of these Furies. she's going through the deck now. I think she's bringing in a little bit more removal. I think she just got kind of stuck behind that wall. Maybe she didn't know what she was playing against. Did we see? I think we missed the start of it. I think she was also on the draw, which is huge. As we see, as you were speaking about there, the blood moons getting pushed. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the coming in pile or the taken out pile. It looks was that pillages as well. Woo. Oh, it looks like that might be a main deck blood moon got pushed to the sideboard, and now we're going to bring in a Magus instead.
Right, but that would be weird if they put in Pyrite Spellbomb, right? So I'm not sure what those piles are, because Pillage in, sure thing, but Shattering Spree? Unless they're concerned about specifically Chalice of the Void. So that could be an anti-Chalice measure.
Do you any call for relics here? Like obviously, Snapcaster doesn't see as much play as it used to, but some people like playing a couple of maybe day leisures. Do you think we worry about them, or the relics just staying in the sideboard, same with these flame slashes?
Yeah, sideboard stays the sideboard unless you've got more cards to side out. But also, I wouldn't expect Snapcaster in a Chalice deck. Snapcaster works great with 1 mana spells, right, to be efficient, and you don't play those that much because of Chalice. So I would kind of like deduce that there are no Snapcasters in that shell.
Okay, look again. A good look at all these little cards. It looks like Pillages are still staying in. We've still got some Ragavans that are staying in, Bolt staying in. So a Chalice could be good here, but we did bring in those ways to destroy them if needed. But now she's on the play. How big is that going to decide on this matchup? Like being able to be a turn ahead, basically, of this fast Obosh deck.
So it changes one fundamental thing, because now she can go Triumph turn 1, Dalton goes Ragavan, and then you can untap, play a land, and immediately binding it, which you couldn't have done on the draw. So that's going to be a huge difference. Also, you can, for example, deploy Teferi, 3 mana Teferi before the Blood Moon comes down, and then you can, at your leisure, bounce it whenever you want. So it changes quite a bit in the way the game plays out.
Okay, so looking at hands here, over for Luna, it looks like we've got 3 lands, Teferi, Counterspell, and double binding. I think that last one's a binding. On the other side, we've got a couple of lands, Blood Moon, a couple of Furies. I think that might be a Fable, but yeah, we're going to throw it back there. I think we want to get on the battlefield early. How important is that to basically try and maximize our chance of getting like a turn 1 Ragavan or something?
Right, so basically, as control players know best, there are no bad threats, there are only bad answers, and you really want to match your answers to the threats. Now, if Dalton doesn't pose any threats, you have nothing to match, which gives you so much time to set up, like with all the lands. You could have all the Triumphs, all the Shocklands tapped, while if Dalton actually puts pressure, she's in a squeeze, because now she has to, adjust to the tempo that Dalton is posing. So absolutely get on the field early, just to make her life a bit more uncomfortable. Also, if there is no pressure, Luna can deploy a Planeswalker and then defend it later, which we, again, do not want her to be able to do.
Got you. Chat's asking about top 12 health. How does that work? Basically, 1 to 4 in the standings automatically get a bye. So they will move on to basically the top 8, and then the next down from 5 to 12 will play out, and the winners will then advance to play everyone that was 1 to 4. Hope that clears it up for you as we're looking at this new hand. And I think a Bolt is going to go to the bottom as we're starting the turn off with a Scrolling Tarn. And there's the Monkey brought to the front.
And there's a Monkey, there's a Blood Moon, which could be deployed on turn 2.
What are you saying? Most powerful 1-drop in Modern?
Yeah, let's go with Ragavan.
Okay.
Let's go with Ragavan.
What about in Magic? You can join in on this chat. Let us know what is the best 1-drop. Every time I bring this up, people always say that I'm wrong when I say Ragavan, or everyone has an opinion. I would love to hear them.
Well, depending how far back do we want to go? Like, if we go to like really back, then it would be Ancestral probably.
No, 1-drop creature. Come on, it's got to be
1-drop creature. Okay, 1-drop creature. Okay. So Ragavan, I think, still wins. Now, 1-drop non-creature from recent time is a bit of a more interesting question, right? Like relatively recent-ish printing, let's say last 5 years, and not a creature. And then it becomes a real question. Is it Unholy Heat? Is it Spell Pierce, my beloved Spell Pierce? Is it Prismatic Ending? Assuming it even counts as a 1-mana spell.
All the DRC is popping up in chat as it looks like a Leyline's Binding is going to come down and deal with this Ragavan. Just for people that are, just tune into Modern, trying to get their grips on it, why did we do it now during combat and not before?
Right, so if, for example, she'd done it on her own turn, Dalton could have just dashed in a different copy of Ragavan. So you want to do it once we're already in combat. She could have been heavily, heavily punished if there was another one. Now, we've got 2 triumphs on the field, so ley lines are pretty cheap, but she's very much prone to Blood Moon,
But also
which
on
shouldn't be a
Dalton,
problem.
Dalton didn't
She'll
have a
be
turn
deploying
2
Teferi.
play.
Yeah, I think the turn to play will actually be Bone Crusher Giant. Now, to be fair, it's difficult for a turn to play when you play an Obosh deck. Like turn to literally, 2 mana, right? Because of course he could have deployed another Ragavan or some kind of 1-drop. But those decks historically have been pretty high on 3 drops.
We get fetching up a basic planes there because obviously it looks like we have a basic island in the hand. So if a Bloodmoon does come down, we are not going to be locked out of it, as well as this Teferi coming down and getting ticked up. So we've got multiple answers now if we need them. Looks like we've still got Binding, still got Shark, Typhoon, and Counterspell on hand for Luna. How are we going to respond over on Dylan's side? Dalton's side, sorry. 3 mana.
To be fair, I think this game is kind of over at this point. I think Luna's just taking this one down. But it's going to take probably like 10 more minutes until she actually closes the door. And the question is whether Dalton is willing to just concede when he sees he's behind, or whether he will make her play through it and actually get across the finish line.
As we see, the Pillage takes out the basic planes. Teferi gets ticked up. We're going to play an island and just pass the turn back with Counterspell magic up here. I think I did see a Seasoned Pyro. No, Season. Yeah, Seasoned Pyro in hand. Can't get quite a good look from this angle, but we'll see. How do we get back into this? What? Okay, test me. What's that land?
Blast Zone. Surely it's just another Blast Zone.
Is that the new art Blast Zone? Is it? I'm normally quite good at my alternate arts as well.
Well, looking at the fact that Dalton has got like all sorts of editions of cards. So, using that logic, I would say it's just a mismatched Blast Zone.
It does make a caster's job slightly harder, but here we are. As Counterspell is going to catch it up, and Lightning Bolt is a Fairy to drop it down to 3.
This is such a desperate action, because like this bolt hasn't accomplished that much really. Just ticked it down to 3, but like, what does that accomplish in the broadest scale of things, right?
It gets it, I suppose, within Fury range next turn if we can try and get it off the battlefield. But yeah, I agree. It's not looking too good for Darwin here. The answers have lined up very well for Luna. And we're basically playing her game plan now. She's got a grip full of cards. She's got ways to answer things. And when when they've got nothing to do, because we start seeing the companions come to hand, which just I know both players using companions here. Even though we've had a couple banned in the past, is still seeing play in multiple different decks.
Yeah, exactly. And you basically, if you can, you play them. And it's an interesting case with Underworld Breach Grinding Station combo decks, where you can play Jagantha if your win con is Grapeshot, and you cannot play Jagantha if it's Oracle. And you are in this kind of squeeze, whether you want a better combo card, Oracle, or get the Companion.
So but yeah, just test us there. What was that card there? It was I know what it does. It was a Phoenix of some description.
Of Ash. I'll bet it's a Phoenix of Ash. I think, yeah.
Love to see it.
Let me just double check.
I'll be commentating on a Phoenix of Ash today.
Let's go. Yes, it's Phoenix of Ash and can escape. It was from Theros.
Okay, as we're going to pass turn back in. Are missing our land drops though. So, that means Luna's hand will be full of gas, but on the other side is, can they cast all the spells they need? We do see a Solitude, which does cost, potentially meant to cost 5 mana. There we go. Phoenix of Ash. Who had that one on their bingo card today to tick off? Because you're doing well if you have.
Now, interestingly, what Luna could do potentially is bounce their own Leyline Binding from using Teferi, draw a card, and just redeploy it on something else that's potentially scarier, like a Fable.
And here comes the Fable. Counterspell is going to catch that one up again. And a Ragavan. Is that one going to resolve? Nope. Looks like a Prismatic Ending. Obviously, we get to cast that sorcery card at instant speed because the Fairy did tick up as we get Supreme Verdict off the top. Again, missing our land drops, but she's happy with this. This 1-for-1. We've got Dalton down to 1 card in hand. Yeah, he'll draw 1 for the turn, but as you said, I feel like she's very much in the driving seat here as we get a good look. And that's the full art Solitude. some of the better ones, as she's going to tick down the Teferi to try and draw a card. Does hit a 5th land drop, which now means we can start hard casting the Solitude if we need to.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just 15 more turns and the game's over.
So if you could stack your deck over on Dalton's side, how does it start to get us back into this? Bone Crusher off the top might help, I suppose, get a Teferi off the battlefield.
So because I think you just have to brute force your way. So you would just put on top something like multiple Fables, multiple. I'm not sure even if that would work. Because the issue is that what you would like to do is keep posing threats that have to be countered. But I'm not sure there are that many right now available. So what she will do is play Solitude in response, and Blood Moon will indeed resolve. So I guess that's one way of doing it.
Not ideal. Does have to fetch the second white source to actually hard cast it. Not exactly where we want to be doing when a Blood Moon's coming down. Normally you want to fetch a basic here, but none of this Blood Moon's not going to be threatening the Teferi. So eventually the Teferi can take up and try and obviously deal with that. And yep, as you're right, Solitude's going to come down, no targets.
Yeah, literally as a creature. Literally as a creature, as a threat to have something on board, because now Dalton is on like a 3-turn clock. So that's already pretty scary. Hallowed Fountain enters untapped because it's a mountain. Kahira to hand.
Laughing. So we're going to pass back. We need, what have we got? Didn't get a good look at the draw. Looks like it was just a land. So are we going to shoot the Solitude, play a 4/3?
You could, and that alleviates pressure. You could also shoot Teferi. Yep. Because like this Blood Moon is your way to win. Like if anything, that's your way to win. Oh, and that's Leyline binding off the top. Like if she had a Plains, she could actually be thinking about hard casting it. Like literally now for full cost. But no white available.
What do you think about that trade there?
Yeah, that's interesting because I would have kept it to attack Teferi down. But I guess he's really afraid of just dying, so he's banking on a good top deck here. What could that be? Seasoned Pyromancer. Oh, that's the card. Oh, Seasoned Pyromancer, we're back in the game. Easy.
I wouldn't mind another Bone Crusher here. I can deal with the Teferi and then play another 4/3.
Yeah. Bone Crusher, Seasoned Pyromancer, those are the cards we really want to see. Obosh to hand. Well, it's okay because the pressure is just a single shark, which is a 1/1.
Ooh,
and Teferi still can't bounce. So I guess Dalton is in an okay position, honestly. It's not that bad. But you really need to ping Teferi now. Oof. Oh, Chalice on 3. Okay. Oh my god. Oof. So okay, that's strong.
We need to deal with this Teferi because over the next turn, Teferi just bounces the Blood Moon and unlocks some mana, and then we're back to taking over this game. Big top deck here. What are we going to get? We know there's an Obosh in hand.
Dash
Ragavan.
Right. Attack Teferi down. Again, we really need to preserve that Blood Moon. Especially as if that Blood Moon gets bounced, it cannot be replayed due to that Chalice of the Void.
Yeah, but obviously a lot is tying on this Blood Moon staying on the battlefield. That's why he's kind of put all his eggs into one basket here. And while she's not hitting any basics and able to cast any spells, it is a legit way for him to get back in this game. She leaves the shark back as a blocker so it can stop that Ragavan if needed. And here's the Obosh. Obosh does double damage for cards that are odd in your deck, and all cards in your deck have to be odd.
I think it's both actually. But the point is that if you meet the condition, everything will deal double. That's the shortcut. Because technically you could play Obosh as a part of your 60, and then that clause would matter. But if it's your companion, then no worries. It will work as intended.
Another big top deck. What we're going to see. So we're dashing a Ragavan. Both
right.
at Teferi.
I think it's both at Teferi. Like this Blood Moon is your way. Yep. Teferi's oh my god. Like if Dalton wins this, I'm going to flip. I mean, this is... Oh my god.
Never call it too early. Never cue it too early, guys. We're going to pass the turn back.
I literally said that
Three-turn
this
clock.
is. Yeah, I literally said that Luna is going to win,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was.
I think
Oh,
turn 3, I think you said it, but you might.
yeah.
That's a Ravenat Ruins and another Blood Moon in hand.
Wow. And Dalton doesn't even ant up
Yeah,
Obosh. This is just
we need a
woof.
solitude.
Just
We have to have a solitude here. An
and
island. Does that do anything?
No, it doesn't. Just attack and she's dead. Oh my god. That's
Not one to call
mental.
it early, but we got back into that one in the end, and Blood Moon did Blood Moon things.
Wow.
And to be fair on Dalton, like he knew that was his game plan to get back into that game. He did everything he could to try and stop that Teferi from ticking up so it could eventually bounce it. He managed to get the right answers that lined up, managed to screw with the mana, couldn't cast anything. So we only saw one Solitude there and managed to run away with that game, which is, you wouldn't believe it, right? That's one of the ones where your friends would come up to you at the end of the round and be like, oh, you wouldn't believe what just happened. I just lost to this in this way.